We actually dated for 3 months, which today I would have said to my children, no, you cannot do that you don't know that person well enough. But at that time, we just knew, and we've actually been married 54 years, so I guess it did work, huh? First thing we wanted was a church, because we'd always had a church. And how do you find a church in a city this big when you don't even know anyone? We had a baby and another one due, and we wanted something with young children. So we wrote to a friend, and he was a pastor who'd actually married us, and said, we need a church, help us. And he said, you need to go to First Presbyterian. They need you and you need them. And so we came down and we visited one Sunday, and we loved it. And the next Sunday we joined the church, and the next Sunday the baby got here a month early. So it was really just so welcoming. And from day one began calling us and taking care of us. We wanted to be back down here. I think I came down when the baby was 2 weeks old. So we found a Sunday school class pretty quickly of people our age, and it was fairly small, but it was so loving. And the people in the class would take us to lunch and pay for lunch. And at that point we were watching pennies, and so it was just such a gift. Not just giving money, it's more giving yourself. And that's what all these people did. They gave who they were to us, so we wanted to give back. I mean, how can you not give back when somebody does that for you? We've always been teachers here. Even when our children were little, we taught in the preschool, and then we moved up and taught elementary for a while. It was a lot easier for us when we were young to give time instead of money, because you're always thinking, gosh, I've got to save for XYZ.
We bought a house, our first house, and we wondered how we were going to make that $159 a month payment. But when we began giving, it was really hard to tithe, but one of the pastors said, whatever you start with, go up by 1% per year till you get to your tithe. That's important. You'll feel good about it. So that's what we did. And as far as time, Nell and I both have put so much time in this church. Our children grew up, they got cars, they went off to college, and we didn't see them much.
And the pastor knew that we were not teaching and said to Jim, I know about this young adult class and they need a leader. Would you think about being their leader and teaching them?
We could have retired after 15 years of teaching, gone to early church and sat on the back row and sneaked out. But there was something that we were not getting. And when this pastor said, would you consider that? When I talked to Nell, we thought, you know, this is what we've been waiting for. And so we started with about, what, 6 weeks? 6 weeks. Yeah. We're going to teach 6 weeks, and at the end, if y'all want to go on to somebody else, it's okay, and if we don't like it, it's okay. So we've been with them for 15 years now. So. When we first started teaching that class, none of them had kids. Oh my gosh, they'd all get together and go to the movies, or they'd go camp out. We had about 3 or 4 within 6 months that told us they were pregnant, and they all blamed Nell's cinnamon rolls. They said, that's what's causing. But almost every time one of them has a baby, we're at the hospital with them. And they would bring them to class. And you know, I thought they could have stayed home and looked after that baby, but they came and they brought the baby to class, and touches me.
Yeah, I know. The things that we had needed before, other people needed now, because we've walked a lot of those rough paths, and you just love people through it. Like when I was having surgery, I had 2 people from the class who came up and waited with me during the day with Jim. I'm like, oh my word, I know they have little children they need to be taken care of, but where are they? They're up there with me. You help people know that this is the walk that you're committed to. This is the way we're going to live our lives.
50 years ago when we came down here as a young family, and we needed this church, and as the pastor said, they need you. As we have grown older and gone through the various phases, now we see younger generations bringing children to church. We have to play it forward. We can't just say, well, this is for today. We have to keep it going.
We can't just sit back and say, oh, that's nice. No, we all need to work for it. The church has many programs, from the daycare center, which is one of my loves, to the stew pot. How can I not give? How can I be so loved and so given so many opportunities to share with others and not help support what we have here? And the 1% idea is a beautiful way to do that. If you've not been able to give and you can only give 1% of your income, then 1% is a gift. That is a huge gift. If you think about the story of Jesus and the woman who poured her ointment, her precious ointment on him and washed his feet. And when people got angry about it, he said she did what she could. And I think that if we think of ourselves that way, we do what we can, there's hope for all of us. And that's all we're asking. Do what you can. She did what she could. Now we do what we can.